2/3 of Londoners who have asthma or respiratory issues live in outer London. So this, why not just wait? Well, why not just postpone? Let me explain what. So 2/3 of those with asthma or respiratory issues live in outer London. The 10 boroughs with the highest rates of death linked with asthma, the 10 boroughs are all in outer London. The poorest Londoners, so those who earn less than £10,000 in outer London, 7 out of 10 don't own a car. Those who earn between £10,000 and £20,000, 54% don't own a car. But this point about delay is a really cute point used by politicians unwilling to take action, because here's the thing: if you and I were speaking 20 years ago, there'd be a mainstream group of politicians denying climate change, denying air pollution. They can no longer deny it. What they do now is to seek to delay it. When's the right time to tackle climate change?
So let's listen to what Sadiq has said here. He said that in outer London, which is the area where he's expanded ULEZ, that among the poorest families, those with the lowest incomes, of between £5,000 and £10,000 a year, only 3 out of 10 people own a vehicle. And this is his angle for it being acceptable to charge those 3 out of 10 people masses of money to use this vehicle. Anyway, he then goes to say that between £10,000 and £20,000 a year, which is still incredibly low income for this part of the world, that 46% of people own a vehicle. So what he's explained there, probably without even noticing, is that when people have even a small increase to their income, they are far, far more likely to own a vehicle. And what he has also done is he has pointed out the reality that those people, 54% on 10 to 20,000 a year and 3 out of 10 on 5 to 10,000 a year, will be completely priced out of having their vehicle, because there's no way they're going to be able to afford this. The average cost to buy an electric vehicle in the UK is £50,000. So somebody who's on less than 20 grand a year is not going to be able to afford this. We also have to consider that most of these people are not going to live in houses with private driveways, with the ability to charge at home, and something I feel is completely not being accepted or even rationalized by these people is the idea that a lot of the people who own vehicles in this bracket are going to need those vehicles for work. And I don't just mean for travelling to and from work, although I'm sure that's relative in certain cases. I mean men who have plumbing jobs, or are tradesmen, or are dog walkers, or any of the other jobs that people do that require a vehicle. And not just a vehicle, but a large vehicle. And with electric vehicles, the larger the vehicle, the more expensive the vehicle, the larger the battery, the more expensive the charging, the more difficult it is to find suitable charging points, on the road. I don't know that the way this is being dealt with is at all sensible, or in fact very intelligent, and that concerns me a lot. We need politicians who are actually looking at the infrastructure and saying, would it be reasonable for this 54% of people and or this 3 out of 10 people to be able to move to electric vehicle use? Is the infrastructure in place for them? Do they have homes that will allow them to continue living lives that they are accustomed to? And if that's not the case, then that's what needs to be worked out. Sadiq Khan may be right. Maybe electric vehicle use is the way that we save the planet, and that is the way everyone should be moving. I have some questions about that personally, but I'm not sure that that's what I want this video to be about. I'd like this video to be about what I see as logic fallacies in the arguments being made here. He immediately jumps to, well, when's the right time to make moves on climate change? I'm sure he's absolutely correct. You know, if we are concerned about climate change, again, I have some questions and arguments about that. If we are concerned about climate change above anything else, then we should absolutely be making moves immediately to curb climate change. But that doesn't seem to be the way that this is, the reason that this is being done. This is essentially a fine on already poor people that will remove from them the ability to run a car, and in a number of situations, the ability to run businesses, the ability to feed their families. And all of a sudden, that group of people that were on 10 to £20,000 a year might well find themselves in that £5,000 to £10,000 bracket, because they can no longer run the vehicle that they need to do the job that they are skilled in. That, I think, is a huge issue that's just not being looked at. If we want people to be moving towards electric vehicles, we need the infrastructure, we need the support. And I'm going to say it, for what is supposed to be a Labour mayor of London, he should be looking at schemes that allow people to upgrade their vehicles to electric vehicles in a way that is possible for them. And I'm not seeing any schemes like that. In fact, the idea that you can place a punitive measure in order to force people to change their behaviours is very, very far from what Labour is supposed to represent. Labour is supposed to represent the left-wing position. That means that it looks at the people doing the labour. That means it looks at a welfarist change to society, not a punitive one. I'm not seeing any Labour policies here. I'm seeing a man calling himself a Labour mayor that is performing a Tory role, quite simply. It is conservatism to say, well, we don't care about the 3 in 10 people who are unable to pay these fees and have a car in Greater London. That is not a reasonable perspective, I would say, from someone who has been hired as a Labour mayor of London. And it is concerning that 46% of people can be completely dismissed in this way. I'd have much rather seen them say, within 5 years, we will be bringing in a scheme which means you will not be able to enter these places without being fined unless you have low emissions vehicles. Therefore, we are going to support the people of London, Greater London, who need to change their vehicles to do so in a way that is possible for them in relation to what we're going through now, which is an immense cost of living crisis. That would be the correct way to deal with this. And I have to say, having watched Sadiq Khan speak here and on a couple of other occasions, I'm just not sure that that man has got the intelligence to really understand what he's doing or how he could do it better. And that concerns me about politicians in Britain as a whole.